everybody, and welcome back to the HQ. Today, we're going to be reacting to The Dragon Gamers Weren't Allowed to Kill by ManyKudos. I have no idea what this is about. I know many games with many dragons in it, but I don't know what this one is. So let's find out.
This is a tale of treachery, betrayal, but it's also a tale of camaraderie and overcoming all odds to do the unthinkable. When a man scorned sets out for revenge against the guilds that rejected him, he unwittingly forges an alliance between bitter rivals who put aside their differences to attempt something that nobody had ever done before. Kill the unkillable dragon, much to the dismay of the developers who designed it. Welcome back to Many Scandals. Before we get started, have you ever wanted to be a YouTuber? What about being an animator? Or how about just learning to cook better? All of this and more
I am a
could
YouTuber.
be yours, thanks to today's sponsor, Skillshare.
I didn't even have to use Skillshare for it.
I only actually learned how to edit a month before I posted my first video. And with Skillshare hosting classes on
I barely know how to edit myself. I just kind of open up DaVinci, throw some stuff in there, and just kind of like stitch it together.
Who knows where you could be in a month? I'm constantly trying to improve my editing abilities, and Sean Dykink's class on creating visually appealing edits has been super helpful. Turns out I was clicking the big edit button wrong this whole time. The first 1,000 of you slippery wee buggers.
For me, it's learning mostly how to use transitions, blur swipes, and inserting sound effects to make it sound snappier.
Today, I love seeing you guys get creative. So if you learn,
I just kind of learned from watching other VTubers.
Thanks again to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Our story takes place in the lands of Norrath, the theoretically fictional world of EverQuest. Years before World of Warcraft would explode onto the scene and go on to be...
Goddamn, EverQuest is an oldie.
EverQuest set the scene as the first 3D MMORPG to find mainstream success, climbing to an impressive 100,000 concurrent players in 2001. A feat that today would see it in Steam's top 10 most played games. A dangerous, unforgiving online fantasy world that set players against the forces of darkness and dial-up internet. Its brutal difficulty forced players
I can't imagine
to
playing an MMO on internet of the early 2000s. Holy shit.
Quite like the fight against Keraphim, the Sleeper. Added in the Scars of Velios expansion, the Sleeper's Tomb was a high-end raid zone that saw EverQuest players face off against the 4 Dragon Wardens, keeping the prismatic dragon Keraphim in an eternal slumber. Unlike modern MMO
that's
titles,
interesting.
the Sleeper's Tomb wasn't an instanced area.
The only MMO I've ever played for more than 5 minutes is Dragon Ball Online. That's the only one I've actually played. I played the shit out of that. And I got like my character up to like a Super Saiyan, but then I just stopped playing because my friends stopped playing.
Allowing another group of players to wedgie the Wardens for a new wristwatch. However, if all 4 Wardens were killed at once, the 3-hour video game essay playlist, keeping the Sleeper in his magical slumber, would be paused. And when Keraphim awoke, players quickly found out why he was entombed. You see, Keraphim's whole encounter was part of EverQuest's ongoing story, and once awoken, he would go on a rampage, swinging his morning wood throughout the tomb and across the countryside, leaving a trail of death and destruction, and at least one player who came back from a piss to discover his character's dead. Once Keraphim reached their destination,
you kind of missed the toilet there.
They would slaughter the bosses there as part of the game's story, before evaporating from the game forever. Keraphim wasn't the only dragon to nip out for attack smokes and never come back, as the 4 Dragon Wardens who served as his jailers would never spawn again, taking their unique rare items with them. Keraphim's awakening would happen once per server, and while the first few servers were caught completely off guard, the remaining servers began to hear tales of a legendary dragon whose power was unmatched by anything else in the game. I really can't stress
I saw you back there, chubby.
This wasn't a case
chubby
of finding
Spyro
a group
back
of
there.
The sweatiest players decked out in the best gear to give him a run for his money. You could be wearing the most powerful armor in the game and still be killed in a single swipe of his claws, or the instant kill spell he would cast with seemingly unlimited range, in addition to a complete immunity to magic, meaning only melee and ranged players could even put a scratch on him. To top it all,
God damn.
he had more
He's just
health
immune
than
to
any other
everything.
creature in the game. While the exact number is unknown, the most damage he reportedly received on any server was a whopping 1% of his health.
Dude.
Players assumed that
Holy
a creature
shit.
this legendary must drop some equally legendary loot. But Sony Online Entertainment, the company
Oh wow,
behind
this is
EverQuest,
this
really
is a
didn't
Sony
want
game?
Kirafim to be killed,
God damn.
as it was important for the game's ongoing story that he lived. Of course, gamers have always been a
Yeah,
stubborn
I mean,
bunch, and if you
clearly.
dangle a seemingly impossible task in front of them that doesn't involve leaving the house, they will dedicate
Yeah,
dozens,
like you tell
hundreds,
a
even
gamer they can't do
thousands of
something,
hours
they're gonna
towards
find a
this
way to
challenge.
do it.
And as Kirafim's infamy grew, so too did the number of players looking to slay him. Server after server saw valiant knights charge into battle against the sleeper, glory in their eyes and their chests swelling with pride at the thought of being the first to kill the unkillable, moments before being mutilated faster than a Chinese steelworker on Lively. This seemingly impossible task seemed more and more impossible by the day, and
Oh,
eventually Kirafim was awoken
God damn.
and undefeated on all but one server,
Ooh.
Ralos Zek. Ralos Zek was a lawless server, a chaotic realm where players were free to kill one another and steal the loot from the bodies of their freshly slaughtered victims. It's in a
Oof.
realm such as this,
A wild-ass
where greed would win
PvP
over
server.
glory, as once the 4 Dragon Wardens were killed and the Sleeper is awoken, players would no longer be able to access the unique loot that the Wardens dropped. Because players were free
Yeah,
to kill
I can see why that's a problem.
Any guild that looked like it was attempting to wake the Sleeper was quickly dealt with, which kept any would-be glory seekers in check. After fighting themselves,
Yeah, they want
in
their
a Mexican
their
these
infinite
powerful guilds
loot
made a pact
drops
to ensure that
free
nobody
and
would wake the Sleeper.
safe.
But of
I can
course,
certainly see.
it only takes one person to pull the trigger for all hell to break loose.
Oh yeah. It takes one loose finger and a
Stinkfist
Mexican
was a lizard
standoff for
man,
everything to go to
and
shit.
to say he had a chip on his shoulder would be an understatement. He was practically wearing a pair of Yukon Golds as pauldrons. For reasons lost to time, he found himself cast out from Ascending Dawn, one of Ralos Zek's most powerful guilds. Scorned and powerless,
They have
he
a whole
slipped into the shadows,
storyboarding for
plotting
this
his revenge.
story.
Over time, Stinkfist teamed up with a ragtag team of players who shared his vision, aptly named The Curse. But even with his newfound cohorts, he had
Getting
nowhere
together
near the power
with
needed to stand
his fellow
toe-to-toe with
troublemakers.
Ascending Dawn or any of the other big dogs on the server. But he wouldn't need to engage them in open combat. He would only need to hit them where it hurts. Their loot. Utilizing
That'll
knowledge
do
from his
it.
time in Ascending Dawn, Stinkfist not only knew about the pact to not wake the Sleeper, he knew exactly when the guilds were most active. And conversely,
Wow.
when they weren't.
He's using his insider knowledge for the for the guilds to get behind and awaken the sleeper behind their backs.
But unsurprisingly, a guild of sketchy players wasn't exactly watertight, and Stinkfist's intentions to wake the sleeper were leaked to the big guilds who had formed the Kirafim Truce. They decided if anyone was going to wake the sleeper, it must be them. And not only would they wake
Okay,
him,
so they just
were going to
decide
do something
they're going to be
that
the ones to
nobody
do it.
had ever done before. They were going to kill him.
Will they now?
On a sunny day in
Let's see how
November
that goes, because
2003,
every other
guilds
server's
began their
failed.
assault on the Sleeper's tomb. Ascending Dawn, Wudan, and Magus Imperialis Magicus, which is apparently Latin for I don't know, I don't speak Latin. The 4 wardens quickly fell at their combined effort, awakening Kirafim for the last time in EverQuest's history. Now, normally
has
for a fight
awoken.
like this, you'd have a big beefy tank character absorbing all of the pain, damage dealers on the side stabbing the dragon in the shins, and healing characters giving blue Gatorade to anyone who got hurt. But of course, this
That's a
clearly
big
didn't
old
work
boat
for any of
glass.
the other
Holy
servers.
shit.
So instead, these guilds implemented a much stupider method, kamikazing anyone who could hold a sharp stick at Kirafim, doing as much damage as they can before their inevitable death, and then have the healing characters on the sidelines.
Oh my
ready to
goodness! So
resurrect
they're
their
just gonna
fallen
throw
brethren,
themselves
who will
at it and
quickly
hope
pull
it
their pants
dies.
back on before running in for another bitch slap. Like subscribing to my channel and tickling the like button. Everyone was shocked at just how effective this strategy was. Slowly but
Wow.
surely, Kirafim's health ticked down.
Oh wow, it's going
overtaking
down.
the previous record of 99%. then 98%, 90%.
Oh, they're doing
80%,
it.
3 hours, and at least 1,000
They're actually
deaths
fucking
later,
doing it.
The players held strong. 40%, 30%.
They're actually
Suddenly,
gonna do
at
it.
26%. Kirafim simply disappeared. Was this a glitch? Maybe the script that made Kirafim go on his rampage had,
What?
some kind of despawn timer on it.
What happened?
I mean, he was never
What
designed
happened?
to be killed, right? Well, it turns out that Ralos Zek's guilds weren't the only ones surprised by the effectiveness of
hell?
his tactic. And one of the EverQuest moderators watching the fight despawned Kirafim before he could truly be defeated. The devil shivers when the game
Wow.
rages. And he had no shortage
Wow.
of enraged gamers to
The
quiver
game
with
moderators
hours of fighting and at least
despawned
1,000
him.
deaths with nothing to show.
Holy
All because
shit,
the
that's
players had
scummy.
essentially outsmarted the developers. The whole situation reeked
That's
of the kid at
scummy as
school who
fuck.
threw a hissy fit when you beat him at his own game, or the dungeon master who punishes you for thinking outside the box and not
Francis
playing
flipping
the
the
game
table.
exactly as they intended.
That's an oldie.
Some people felt that this betrayed the very nature of the game itself. A game is, by definition, a series of rules that players must operate within in order to overcome obstacles. And if the
Yeah,
people running the game
very
are
much
willing
so.
to break these rules and pull a Deus Ex Machina because it isn't going their way, I mean, why should any of the people playing it follow them either? Speculation
That
around
sucks,
SOE's
man.
motives ran rampant, made all the more obtuse by the revelation that it was a decision made from one of the higher-ups in the company. And the game master who enacted it was
Once
simply
again,
following
Sony
orders.
being the
In a
scum
statement put
lords
out
that
by
they
SOE,
are.
They claim that there may have been a bug where Kirafim
Scummy
was
ass
focusing
Sony.
on a different NPC in the zone instead of the player characters, presumably allowing them to get in some free hits while the sleeper stared off into space. As this would have been considered
Wow.
exploiting a bug, the sleeper was despawned as per their
Typical
terms of
Sony
service.
bullshit.
But even still, the statement also noted that, having investigated the bug further, they were unclear if this was a real issue or not. Other theories
So
at
they
the
blame
time
it on a
believed that
bug,
SOE
and
was
then in
afraid
the
of
same
what might
breath,
happen
in their
if
same
Kirafim
breath,
was killed.
says they don't know if
He was
that's actually to
programmed
blame
go
or
on a
not.
rampage and despawn at a specific
That
time.
is horseshit.
Maybe if you killed him before he could do any of that, the servers might crash. With Kirafim taken from them, players began to treat SOE as their new raid boss, chipping away at them until, unlike Kirafim, they caved and decided to respawn the sleeper, allowing the guilds of Ralos Zek to have one last crack at him. On November 17th, 2003, over
Don't get in the way
200
this
players
time.
reconvened on the sleeper's tomb. By this point, word had spread throughout the community of the rival guilds who put aside their differences to come together and do the unthinkable. Except the guilds of Ralasek knew that it was in fact very much able to be thonged. With EverQuest's 2003
Let's see if they can
server
actually do it this
technology
time.
beginning to splinter at the sheer number of players fighting in one area, our valiant heroes began the long and arduous fight against Kirafim.
Everybody that's
Despite
running
being
in to get their
intense
hits
and
in.
boring at the same time, the knowledge that you are participating in a world-first kill with all eyes on you didn't detract from the fact that the janky
Get it,
strategy
get it,
they
get it,
developed
get it.
was exceptionally tedious. Altogether, the 200 plus players averaged around 271 damage per second, while
God,
Kirafim was
dude.
knocking out an exceptional 1400, which is almost 500 times as much if you do the maths wrong. Still, the battle raged on. with
If you do the
Kirafim's
math
health
wrong, yeah,
dropping
it's
to
very
50%,
much. It's
then
very much.
26%. Only this time,
Oh,
he didn't
goddamn.
despawn. 10%,
Oh,
5%.
they're actually gonna get him.
And finally, after almost 4
They're
hours
actually
of
gonna get
dying,
him.
resurrecting, running, stabbing, and dying again, a wizard by the name of Trilin from the Wuden Guild landed the killing blow. 30 seconds later, and Kirafim's corpse vanished from the world, which was the case for all
They
corpses
actually got
that had
him.
no loot on them. Yes, unsurprisingly, the devs
They
never
didn't
bothered
add
to
any
put
loot
on a
to his
creature
corpse.
That was never meant to be killed.
They
Still,
could have added
as
like a little
gesture of
trophy
goodwill,
or something.
Game Masters
But
took the time to go around gifting rare items to the players who participated, and even put out a server-wide message that announced the triumph of Ralos Zek to the world. Of
wow,
course,
I mean,
the
at least
real
they
reward
acknowledged
was
it.
never the loot. It was leaving their mark on a game that they cherished. A list of heroes whose names are now forever carved into the history of EverQuest. If you
Absolutely
think
great.
what the EverQuest developers did was bad, Wait until you see my video on RuneScape's most hated developer. Thanks
Oh.
again to Skillshare for sponsoring this
Another
video.
shitty developer? Okay. I guess that'll be something for next time. I'd do it now, but I really gotta get some sleep soon. No, what? I've got time. I've got time. It's only 15 minutes. Wow, so Sony actually learned for once to do something that the gamers wanted instead of screwing them over again and again and again and again. I gotta go on. Sony is just not all that great of a company, people. But yeah, tell me what you think about the supposedly unkillable dragon, EverQuest, Keraphim the Sleeper, down below. Tell me about other fun MMO stories that you may have. Comments down below. Hit like on the video. And I want to say thank you once again to subscribe. Thank you for subscribing, because I know you're subscribed to me. And thank you for stopping by the HQ. Bye-bye.